We all want a piece of the pie. That is the pie of life. And what I mean by that is we all have some kind of aspiration to have better quality of living and mental, emotional well being, good health, some kind of livelihood that we can enjoy the moment as opposed to, enjoy each and every moment as opposed to having to get up every day and processing it, going to work or whatever as a daily grind or a drudge. And that's the challenge. I think the story of Adam and Eve, when they were exiled from paradise, it kind of sums up daily living for each and every one of us. As they walked away from the garden, I can only imagine that each and every step they took further and further away from the presence of God, from His grace, that they had those same type of feelings that we have, or some of us have, when we get up in the morning and we're feeling tired, sluggish, and frustrated. But we know we got to get up and go to work. We got to face hard-headed, quarrelsome people, or just people that are moody and they tend to try to dump their mood swings and toss them in the air and corrupt our day by corrupting our moods. But we got to be careful about that because when you go about in this sort of routine, the drudgery of the daily grind, it becomes hypnotic, and you begin to get these unconscious notions that you're being denied of the life you deserve. And in a way, it's true. It's true. And technically, we deny ourselves because of the way we're using our own thought processes. We're allowing the world around us to define our inner mentalities and throw us off the path of success or spirituality or whatever you want to call it. Life seems to deny us. However, you can remain thoughtful if you have an idea of a better quality of life. You can remain thoughtful of that. You can just keep thinking about it. Just think about it, whether you believe that it may come true or not. Just think about a better quality of life for yourself. I mean, even your day-to-day experiences. I mean, like, for me, one of the things about the whole daily grind was hearing that buzzing alarm clock go off every morning. So what you can do is think about, which is what I did, thinking about not having to be at the mercy of an alarm clock, how that would make me feel. You do that and you'll notice a different type of emotional energy will start to appear within your inner being, in your mind and in your heart. You'll notice a different type of energy, and you'll notice that it's a pleasant type of energy. So when you do this, what you're doing is you're changing the nature of your inner being, and you're also changing the nature of your destiny, because we're all on a path. And many of us, we're so repetitious in our routines that we're in ruts now. And as the song says, time keeps on slipping into the future, and these ruts get more rigid, and the hold on us that these ruts have gets greater and tighter until we feel trapped. I mean, we feel like we're prisoners, so to speak, especially in the mind. We feel like we're mental prisoners. We're at the mercy of our circumstances. And that's because we're neglecting to use our minds to think about how we really want life to be. So start that. Today is Sunday, and I know a lot of people, they go to church, and nothing wrong with that, because going to church can serve to give you great opportunities to truly reconnect with your fellow human beings. As many of you already know, the thing about social media and all other kinds of things such as Facebook, Instagram, or what have you, we're trying to use that to connect to each other. We're trying to use these different social medias to connect with each other, and actually, it's more of a disconnect. We're relying on an artificial apparatus to try to restore or foster a natural connection, and that doesn't work. It gives the semblance of working, because you do a post and then you get people chime in, and that proves people are paying attention to you. That's what we want anyway. We want each other's attention. And the basis of that, the inner basis of that, is that we want to be connected. So yeah, church is a great way to foster real person-to-person connections. So always take the opportunity, if you go to church, to think about that. Like, how can I foster a real connection, person-to-person? And nevertheless, there can be pitfalls too. Like, when you go to church, be mindful not to let it deter you from your present time reality and how you want your life to be right now in this moment. Oftentimes we go to church and we get the promise of a greater future in an afterlife. That's all well and good, but while we're here, we have to be concerned with this life. We can't allow the thoughts about an afterlife. Oh yeah, life will be much better, when I get to heaven and I don't have to deal with this nonsense. But you got to be careful with that, because you can lull yourself right into spiritual sleep by dizzily being dazed about an afterlife. You don't want that to happen. You want to use your mind correctly, and you can create a good life for yourself right here and right now. All you got to do is think about how you want your life to be. So even as you're going to church and you're going to hear the word, as most people say, you're going to hear the word, Before you walk up in that building, even while you're still in the parking lot, before you get out of your car, take a few moments, think about, visualize how you want your life to be, this life. I mean, even as the Messiah said, I came that you might have life and have life more abundantly. He was talking about life right now while you're alive, walking around on planet Earth. So, if that being the case, why not think about, use your brain wisely, use your thoughts wisely about how you want your life to be. Do it every Sunday before you walk in that church building. And watch your life start to gradually change for the better. You can actually see your life change for the better. All you got to do is take a little time, harness your thoughts, and think about whatever goodness you believe you want or believe you deserve. Because personally, I believe we all deserve goodness. I believe we all have gone through struggles, and many of us continue to go through struggles. But I don't believe that that's the way God wants it, that's his will. And while we're praying for God to give us better days, God might just be trying to prompt you, okay, you want better days, then create better days. Start thinking about better days on a consistent basis. And better days will manifest for you. So, whatever the case may be, whatever your struggle, whatever your trouble, take your mind off the trouble. I mean, handle it as best you can in a world of physicality. I mean, you're going to have to handle certain issues that you have in the real world. But that don't mean you have to mentally focus on it in such a way that you're keeping the problem or the issue alive and in your mind. And as you keep it alive in your mind, it perpetuates itself in your real world, real-time reality. So begin to kill problems in your mind by ceasing to give them mental attention. Cease to give them mental attention, but give them conscious attention. Handle them in the real world. But as you cease to feed your problems, whether your problem is an illness, monetary, relationship, if you cease to feed your problem mentally, the manifestation of the problem in the real world will gradually diminish to a point that it goes away. Sometimes it goes away pretty quickly, depending on what the nature of the problem is. Like, I recall I had a credit card debt one time, and I had been saving up money and whatnot. I had been paying a credit card debt off gradually. And I remember my brother was telling me, like, a long time ago, years ago, pay more than the basic payment, and you knock some of that interest off, which is good. And that's good advice, and which is what I was doing with the debt anyway. But I tell you what, to me, that credit card bill was an unnecessary expense. It really was. And even though I was paying more than the mandatory minimum payment, that bill would come every month, and it would frustrate me. It was just bugging me, you know. And I had money in my bank account, my savings account. I said, you know, I could just pay this whole thing off and just be rid of it. I mean, and so, but then I struggle with that. I'm like, well, you know, that's a nice little chunk of change coming out of my savings account. It's like, but then I thought about it. I weighed it. I did the math, and I decided to pay it off in full. Not only did that relieve me of extra interest charges every month, but that source of frustration, it vanished. It was gone. And even though there was a little bit struggle with wanting to give up that amount of money, I think it was about $3,000 or something like that. After I paid it off, the fact that I paid it off with the $3,000, that went away. That frustration about that went away too. It's like, it was no big deal. So what I did, in essence, was I decided to not give this credit card bill any more mental attention. And when I decided not to do that, the idea that it would be better to go ahead and pay it off overshadowed the idea of, I don't want to give up $3,000. And as a result, I gained a pretty good measure of peace. Extra monies were freed up every month for me to do other and better things, including replenish my savings account. And, things were better. Things were better because I ceased to give that issue mental attention. So anyway, sometimes it can be kind of tough to not pay mental attention to issues and problems, because we've emotionalized our problems to such a degree that we identify with our problems just like we do with people. We've actually formed spiritual bonds and connections to problems. And that's why they perpetuate. That's why problems persist, because we have formed mental and spiritual bonds with our problems. We have accepted an idea in our head that problems are going to be a part of life. Problems, if you didn't have problems, then you would never grow or get stronger. Do you really believe that? Do you believe if we didn't have problems that problems are there to make us grow and be stronger? If that's so, then why are people becoming more and more disgruntled, more and more spiritually weak, more and more emotionally unstable? We weren't meant to have problems. We got to let problems go, especially in our minds. I mean, the situation in the Garden of Paradise is proof that God didn't mean for us to have problems. The curse, problems are part of the curse. I mean, also, in the New Testament, the Messiah came to show you that problems are not what God wanted for us. I mean, think about it. When he went into the wilderness to be tempted of Satan, Satan offered him the world. This all belongs to me. I'll give it to you if you worship me. He's like, nah, because he knew that Satan wasn't like the true landlord of the world. He was kind of a, how do you say, kind of like a hostile takeover, in a sense. But he knew Satan's authority was an illusion. So he's like, nah, and then he was asking him, okay, well, you jump off. He took him to a high place, told him to jump, and, the angels will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And he's like, you're not supposed to tempt the Lord thy God. So what was the Messiah doing in the wilderness when he was being tempted of Satan? He was showing you that you got to stop identifying with problems. He was showing you that problems are not supposed to be part of your reality, which is what the resurrection, symbolically speaking, for your life is all about. And dwelling in the kingdom of God is all about a problem-free life. Now, I just said a problem-free life. Does that seem unrealistic? Am I being unrealistic, idealistic? Is that really possible? Well, hey, that's for you to judge. But if I understand the Bible correctly, that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, I know that you got all the biblical characters on their particular spiritual journeys. Yeah, they had problems. They had all kind of wars, famine. They had everything, But was it really meant to be that way? Even though, yeah, they had their issues, and if you check out some of their stories and their storylines, you can see the common thread of the human frailties of the mental clinging to problems. I mean, think about it. Abram, when they were going into Egypt, he told his wife, well, pretend like you're my sister, because if not, these guys will, they'll take me out, and they'll take you for a wife. And, so Abraham was clinging to that mental problem, but it kind of backfired on him, right? When they found out that Sarah was his wife, the Pharaoh was like, hey, dude, what are you doing? He didn't have to do that, is all I'm saying. Abraham did not have to create that problem for himself. Fortunately, God worked it out for him, as he always did. But think about it. How are you perpetuating your problems or problems like Abram? You don't have to give them mental attention if you're trusting in God. I mean, if you give your problems mental attention, that means you're trusting for your problems to be there and to persist. You're trusting in your problems by giving them mental attention. You may say you're trusting in God, but in truth, you're trusting in the false integrity of your problems. So, if you can cease to give them mental attention, then you're on your way to trusting in God, and they can get handled for you. And whether you think life can be problem-free or not, you can most certainly cease to give your problems, mental attention, find out in real-time reality for yourself. Anyway, thank you for listening. This little talk was kind of impromptu. I'm Dario Thomas, author of the Spiritology, the Power of Spiritology series of books. Here's the first book, The Power of Spiritology, on sale at Amazon.com. It can teach you a precise way to stop giving your problems mental attention and start giving them conscious attention that's handling them in the real world without obsessing over the problem in your mind, and watch them go away and watch your life improve by leaps and bounds. Also, subscribe to the Spiritology television network on YouTube, and I will be doing more videos and talks like this, and we can grow together in spirit. That's the goal. Recommend to somebody who you think might benefit from this that they subscribe. And God bless.